is in regards to annexation of Pacific to Auburn. So this part is just going to be merely council discussion, and then we'll close the meeting and open up the special meeting for audience participation. So, as you know, we have been informed that our insurance will no longer exist. We've been canceled as of December 31st. Council appointed a committee to research what our items or options would be for the City of Pacific if we did not have insurance and how we would move forward. The committee met, we discussed several different options. There was a chart that we discussed at a meeting probably 3 weeks ago, I believe, looking at exactly what our options would be. So anyway, and looking at exactly what our options would be, we could try to secure or extend our current insurance, and that's one of the items that council is actively pursuing. We've been taking steps to do things to meet the criteria that our current insurance carrier has asked for. All right. Anyway, so we have been moving forward with that, and that option is still on the table. Council is very hopeful. We know that our current carrier is having a board meeting on December 10th where they were going to be making a decision whether to cancel or extend our insurance. We're also aware of another possibility that's in the works, and we do not have an answer on that or what it looks like as far as coverage or cost. The other option that we discussed was disincorporation. Council took action a few weeks ago regarding disincorporation, and that had to be done because of a timeline that had to be met for it to be on the ballot in February of 2013 to be voted on by the citizens of Pacific. As far as disincorporation, we had to pass that. The 90-day period had to be met. That can still be pulled off the table. We do not have to file with the state auditor until December 28th. One of the other options on the table was to consolidate to another city. Council had elected to have me send out a letter to all the surrounding cities, so a letter went out to the cities that border the City of Pacific. We got some feedback. A couple of the cities, Milton and Edgewood, weren't really interested. Sumner passed a resolution just today that they want only the Pierce County part. A conversation that was had with Auburn, that I had with Auburn as well as our city attorney last week, was they would take care of all of Pacific, the Pierce County side and the King County side. All of the residents, they weren't interested in just taking over maybe the business section of Pacific, which Pierce County is a majority of business. And so that brings us to where we are now. The reason this got put on the agenda, or the other option, I'm sorry, there was one other option. We do absolutely nothing. The city operates with no insurance. Not sure how many people are going to come to work and take the personal liability without any insurance, any liability insurance on the city. I'm not sure how many council members want to be personally liable for anything that happens in the city. The police officers, I'm not sure if they're going to want to be personally liable for their police cars or their own protection if they make an arrest. So those are the things that we looked at. We've had some discussion. One of the main reasons that we brought this annexation forward for consideration, out of all of the options, if we do not have insurance December 31st, it's my personal opinion, and I'm not sure about the rest of the council, this is brought forward for discussion, is this would provide services to all the citizens in Pacific. Not just the Pierce County side, it includes everybody. Pierce County and King County is why we were kind of actively pursuing Auburn. They had the resources. There's several things that work. Now, what that looks like as far as taxes, I don't know. Auburn is meeting tonight to have a discussion with their council. Each one of their department heads is giving a report to their council as the pros and cons of taking on Pacific. And it could turn out that Auburn votes no, we don't want Pacific, and we are back to disincorporation. And I'm going to tell you guys, I am hoping and praying every day that a miracle happens and we get insurance and Pacific continues to exist. If any of you know me, you know how much I love this city. And I want to see it to continue on. We're 103 years old, and I don't want that to go away. The reason that we do not have insurance, there are several claims filed against the city, and they are due to the actions of the administration that have been against the advice of the insurance companies and advice of the city attorney. At this point, every insurance company that we have tried to get to insure us, they don't want to take on the risk. So that's where we are at today. I'll now open it up for council for discussion.
Annexation is certainly not Plan A or even Plan B, but it's better than Plan Z. I was wondering if the clerk would be comfortable giving an update on the search for insurance.
Good evening. I did have a call from the broker that we are going through. So what we have done is AWC, which is the Association of Washington Cities, met with the mayor and myself and Cheryl and Betty, and we talked to them about how they can help us find insurance. They were gracious enough to give us their broker, who is an expert in finding municipal insurance. The insurance packet was given to AJG, which is the broker, on Wednesday, the 28th, and they are working to secure insurance through a wholesale insurer. When I spoke with them late this afternoon at about 4:45, they had a couple of underwriters who were expressing an interest, but it's too early to tell. I'm having another conversation with them, with the broker, tomorrow morning, so I should have some more information then.
Thanks. So I guess my point on that is we do still need to prepare for the possibility that that search is not successful. So again, annexation is not, I think, anybody's preferred option, but we do need to prepare for the eventuality if our insurance runs out.
One thing I do want to add to that, if we do decide to vote on this in a special meeting, it doesn't mean that it's a done deal. We can still back out of it. If we get insurance, we can still walk away and it's done. The City of Auburn wants us to stay intact, and Mayor Lewis has been very helpful in trying to help us get there. But we have to consider what the options. I mean, council's duty is to take care of the citizens of Pacific, and that's what we're trying to do. Any other comments from council?
So having sat on the council committee that kind of examined this issue, I just want to say thanks to Council President Geyer for her leadership. This has certainly been a tough spot to be in. I've had a lot of folks come to me and say, wait a minute, we don't want to be part of Auburn, we want to stay the City of Pacific. I think it's important to recognize that you've had folks sitting around, well, we usually sit at a different table, but that's been our number one goal for the past several months, was how do we figure out a way that we can continue to operate as a city responsibly. There's no question that we can exist as a city after January 1. In fact, there's probably a likelihood that we may have to, even if it's not the most responsible thing to do. Leanne talked about that insurance option. I don't think I realized how important insurance was, especially for a municipal government, in order to operate. I just thought it was, well, it's insurance, and if you don't have it, then you squeeze by and you make do until you get it. We had some long conversations with lots of attorneys who know exactly what they're talking about, and they kind of educated us about that process. That's frankly our worst nightmare. Existing and operating as a city absent insurance is worse for the citizens than not having a city at all. We originally just thought about, things that Leanne talked about police officers and the youth and senior center and how do we provide those kind of things. They reminded us of things like our water system and our sewer system. They reminded us of things like our streets. That without insurance, those are just huge risks that all that liability not only transfers to us personally, but to all the taxpayers and the residents of the city. So that's a tough spot to be in, and consolidation into any other city is one of our last options. But I think we're getting to that point that we need to make it, leave that option on the table in case any of the better options don't pan out. So having said that, though, I'm curious, and I'm hoping somebody can help me understand. Our insurance carrier's board meeting is on Friday of this week, Monday of next week, and we've got a council meeting of Monday of next week. I'm wondering why we're voting on this tonight and not next week.
It was brought to us to try to vote on this tonight because council cannot move forward in Auburn. Their council cannot move forward with any decisions. As it is right now, the timeline that is in place, and this is if everything was to go smoothly, right, as planned, right on down the line. If we were to pass it tonight and Auburn to pass it at their next meeting, next Monday, the process for being open to the citizens, the process that goes through as far as for a petition to vote against, to get against it, and also the boundary review board, it looks like we would operate without insurance, and that's if everything went as planned, until January 17th. So from the 1st till the 17th. If we push it out another week, that means the city operates without insurance another week, and that's if everything goes right as planned. There's plenty of ways in here, opportunities in here for things to kind of get off kilter and add more time to the process. And so that was one of the reasons, timing being of the essence. One of my thoughts were at least we would get it in place and start moving forward. We could always pull back for a moment. We can always stop it at sort of the very end. Auburn is more than willing to work with us on that if their council passes it because they want us to remain intact.
Maybe Leanne, you can answer this question in relationship to the annexation for Auburn. I know that Sumner, like you said earlier, passed a resolution that they would like to take over the responsibility up to the Pierce-King County line. That aligns their MIC, Manufacturing Industrial Center, that we have cooperatively went in with them several years ago, as well as the Valentine Road project and things like that. Whether you've had communication with Auburn and both Sumner, what do you think Auburn's feelings are in relationship to annexing up to the King-Pierce County line and looking at an agreement with Sumner?
The conversations that we had was they would take on all of Pacific. The conversation with Sumner, they only wanted that part. With the timeline that we're looking at and where we are at, I would like to know that all the citizens, every person, Pierce and King County, was taken care of.
One further item, speaking about the urgency of not operating without insurance, it's not simply liability for the city's own actions. The city, under various contracts and grants, promises to provide insurance on behalf of people who do business with the city. Sure. Our suppliers, our employees, our police contract requires that we provide false arrest insurance for commissioned employees every single day they work for us. The moment we have no insurance, we're in breach of our employment agreement with the union. Right. It's incredibly difficult to operate a city without insurance because it means that people won't pay on your grants, they won't work for you, they won't do work on your streets, they won't do work on your sewers. You might find some people who have some forbearance, who might be able to get by a few weeks before they get caught up on it, but you don't want to be in the position that you just don't know what day they're going to turn things off.
One other item I might add to this, because the disincorporation is still on the list and that's still kind of moving forward, I am attending a King County Council meeting where they are being briefed on the interlocal agreements that we had looked at for police, which would be King County Sheriff, and also for streets, which would be the bare minimum. They might come and plow the main arterials and remove a tree if it fell down, but it would be the very bare minimum that King County would provide. They don't have the resources either to take care of our city. But it's an option, and we're pursuing all options. Any other comments from council? Did you have any comments? Did you have anything you want to add to that?
If I could make one more comment before we close our council workshop and move on to the public comment. There are a lot of people here. A lot of people are very angry. Please try to keep it civil.
So if there are no other comments from council, we're going to go ahead and close the workshop. We're going to take a 5-minute recess. We're going to take a 5-minute recess, and then we'll open up with the special meeting.
You already said no comment.